gosh, this is it? This isn't very fun.
So once again, a battle involving a Dragon Ball character versus a character from a different fictional universe has gone viral on Twitter. This time, it's Gohan versus Mark Grayson from the comic book and now animated TV series Invincible. For every good versus battle matchup, what comes first when putting two characters against each other is usually the similarities between the two of them, and at least from a surface level, these two characters are not that actually different. Both are half humans, with their other half being that of a superpowered alien race of warriors who go around conquering planets. While they do have some similar traits to their alien dads, Goku and Nolan, they ultimately differ from their fathers by having more human traits than the traits inherent to their alien genetics, Saiyans and Viltrumites respectively. Also, they've been superheroes at some point, though this is more Mark's thing than it is for Gohan's, but characters is not why we're here. This video is about who would actually win between the two of them if they were to fight. Now, obviously, that clip at the start is partially a joke, but it's pretty clear that no one in the story of Invincible is coming even close to levels of power that characters do in Dragon Ball Super. I don't think anyone's feelings would be hurt if I say that Beast Gohan, as is in the original post, is going to beat up Invincible. So, this video is less about who I think would win between the two of them, and more about which version is the strongest Gohan that Invincible or Mark could actually defeat. This video will also serve as a general scale for pretty much all of the top tiers in Invincible, so you could hypothetically also use this video to compare the rest of Invincible verse to the Dragon Ball verse, but as both Gohan and Mark are among the peak power of their own stories, every other matchup would just be a little bit redundant. Before we go any further, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It lets me know to make more content like this in the future. As this channel mostly talks about Dragon Ball content, I think it's appropriate that we let the guest character today get skilled first. So, how Invincible is Invincible? Early on in his career, Invincible shows some feats that put him around island level, as he's shown hurling massive rocks into space past the moon without really any implied difficulty. Just like a Dragon Ball character though, Mark does naturally get stronger over time through his story. He goes from being far weaker than his father to being comparable to him by the time he fights Conquest, to really outright surpassing him by the time he battles Thrag. Unfortunately, such strength increases are rarely quantified, if at all, so we don't really know how much stronger Mark is getting over time between these instances, just that, he is. The strength difference could be 2 times or 200 times, and we would have no idea. Though, once Mark starts getting close to Omni-Man power, give or take, the best AP in the story is committed. Mark, alongside 2 of the other good Viltrumites at the time, Nolan and Thaddeus, and a shot from the alien known as Space Racer, are able to blow a massive hole in the planet Viltrum and cause it to explode. So, while teaming up with several people who are similar to his level of strength, Mark is not even capable of destroying a planet in a single go. There are potentially some higher level power scaling for Mark with characters such as Omnipotus, who is implied to be able to cause an exponential feedback reaction of destruction that could destroy the universe. But given how his power is stated to fluctuate, and the fact that this is like a chain reaction that doesn't actually scale to Omnipotus's base power, it's pretty clear that no one normally is actually that strong, and so when Dinosaurus beats Omnipotus, this isn't actually like a feat for anybody. There's also Spawn, which makes a little cameo appearance when he battles an evil alternate universe version of Mark, who he says has fought versions of Spawn before and beaten them. Now, for this to actually scale anyone else in Invincible, so many big ifs have to be taken. Firstly, all the spawns that are being mentioned here have to be equal in strength, and are the exact same versions, even though, as we see, alternate universe versions of people are sometimes vastly different. Secondly, even if they are equal, what version of Spawn? This is a character who essentially ranges all the way from street level to literally battling and essentially becoming God. When a stronger Mark barely busts a planet, I think it's pretty clear that this is not indication that Mark is actually harboring outerversal Spawn level power secretly. However, one thing that is very impressive about the Invincible verse is that they have really high level speed feats and scaling despite their low strength power and general lack of hacks abilities. The best speed feat in the series happens really early on, and it's when Nolan flies away from Earth after fighting Mark. After only a week of flying, he finds a planet all the way in the Virgo supercluster, which is a whopping 65 million light years away from Earth. Using some basic math, we can see that this would make him upwards of 3 billion times faster than light. Now, most critics of light speed feats or travel speed feats like this argue that, well, this is travel speed and not the actual attack speed of this character, and you have to kind of prove that characters can actually fight as fast as they're flying in a straight line. However, we know that characters in the verse have reflexes and reactions as fast as their own flight speed based on how Alan the Alien's databook describes his powers. This means that in the combat speed of characters close to Nolan's strength, they would also have to be 3 billion times light speed. Like I mentioned previously, Viltrumites don't really have hacks abilities and are honestly just super strong brawlers that can take insane amount of punishment and heal faster than a normal person and obviously can fly. So, how does this compare to Gohan? Gohan has several major goalposts when it comes to his power levels throughout the series, back when they were still being measured. Even before he knew how to fight, Gohan's power level was able to surpass 1,300, and after training with Piccolo, it more than doubled to 2,800. His strength would grow even more rapidly on Namek, jumping from 14,000 to 200,000, to being able to push back third form Frieza, whose power level was well beyond even 1,000,000. In many of these instances, these are Gohan's full power all-out attack, but it should be clear that when he's really trying, he's able to contend with characters with these levels of power. After this, though, power levels become irrelevant and scaling becomes a bit more ambiguous. However, I'm stopping here because Gohan's strength at this point already exceeds everything Mark has ever done or witnessed by a long shot. Being insanely charitable to Mark, we'll say that being a Planet Buster in Dragon Ball, you need to have a power level of 10,000, which is verbatim stated enough to do so in the El Manga Legendario, though it could potentially be less, but that's not made exactly clear. So while Gohan wouldn't be a Planet Buster until the time he fights the Ginyu Force, he would still be well into small planet or moon levels of power, even as a kid. By the time Frieza is defeated, Gohan would at least be a Planet Buster 100 times over at the bare minimum. At some point in Dragon Ball Z, based on either feats or multipliers and what have you, characters would reach that 3 billion times FTL speed, though it's honestly unlikely that they hit that speed until the Cell or Buu saga. Like, I don't think anyone on Namek is 3 billion times light speed. Does this mean that despite the serious strength disadvantage, Mark is just gonna blitz Gohan? Sadly for him, no. For once in a versus matchup, the thing that matters most here isn't speed, it's not power, and it isn't even hacks. It's durability. You see, in Dragon Ball and Invincible, durability is treated in a somewhat similar way. In Invincible, if you punch something significantly more durable than yourself, your body just kinda explodes. We see this most clearly when Mark is fighting like these purple Viltrumite half-breeds, and they literally just explode when they try to hurt Mark, to the point he's begging them to stop attacking him for their own sake. In Dragon Ball, something similar happens to a lesser and a lot less gruesome degree. For example, we can just look at Moro breaking his entire arm when he tries to punch Ultra Instinct Goku. So this would mean that a suitably more durable and powerful enough Gohan could just stand still and Mark would literally just splat against him, even if Gohan can't necessarily react to the punch. That being said, I don't think baby Gohan is soloing Invincible verse or anything like that. I think it's pretty clear that his power level literally fluctuates between thousands and one based off of his emotions, so Mark would be able to beat, I think, especially the earlier versions of Gohan. Thus, I think Gohan would consistently begin to just outpower Mark with his just basic durability around the time of Namek, because at that point his ki control would be substantial and stable enough, like in a fight situation. So, does Gohan beat Invincible? Like I said at the beginning, yeah, absolutely. We just now know that he could do it even when he was 5 years old. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. As always, comment down below if you disagree with my takes, and tell me how I'm wrong in the comments down below. See ya!